Welcome everybody. This is the Q&A with the Catch Driver app founder and creator Ryan Clements. Joining me, Rod Elms Jr., is Sean Simons and Ryan Clements. We're going to do a little Q&A here, so if you have any questions for Ryan, we'll answer them right here. Just make sure you get the questions to us before we go off the air. That way we can answer them. And Ryan, I'm sure you will go ahead and answer anything you see afterwards too.
Yeah, absolutely. Ready to rock.
All right. So first things first. What made you start getting into not just the app business, but creating horse racing apps?
Yeah, that kind of comes from family history, I guess. I've grown up on a horse farm, and I always wanted to be involved, and my parents always wanted to keep me out of the business. So that was sort of the natural progression of things. They wouldn't really let me move towards being a trainer and driver, and tried to keep me out of the sport. So I went to school. I learned how to code, and I've been in the horse business for a while. I started a fractional ownership group back in 2005. We had Online Harness Owner, and that went for about 6 years. And then I went and got a normal job for a little while, and came back and kind of had the opportunity for the first time to give this a shot. And so we built Off and Pacing. Started working on that almost 2 years ago now.
So with, like you said, Off and Pacing was the first game you created, and now you've got Catch Driver. So what other things did you have to implement? Because the horses are kind of the same as they are in Off and Pacing, but the lines where you actually drive the horse is the big difference here. Where did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, we'd thought about it right from the get-go. I mean, it just makes sense that we're already doing everything that needed to be done as far as the racing. We just had to allow people to drive. So we had to come up with a mechanic, the reins, and something that we thought would work and would be compelling. So we thought that would work, but we were a little stuck on, if you notice, there's not a lot of live racing games in the App Store where you're physically racing against other players. That's more reserved for computers, console games. They just don't lend themselves well to being played on a small screen. But with our graphics being top down, we were sort of in an ideal position to do that. And the collisions in harness racing are a little easier to work with than car racing and other types of racing. So we thought we'd give it a shot, and when we started playing with it, it just sort of worked. And we have to. It's a big challenge because we have to update positions 20 times a second to players all over the world. So the game requires a high level of connectivity, and we thought it might be a bit of an issue getting people to be able to race and perform well without a lot of lag. So there were some major challenges to getting it in, but we, as we've built up the team over the last couple of years, we had the capabilities and, made it happen.
Now,
I think, let me add this. I downloaded it probably just 3 or 4 weeks after you guys launched it, and I was just impressed right there and then about how well you guys did. Like, it was, you could go, you could hit the line with the horse, you could take back if you want. I thought right off the bat, you guys just did a great job, and you guys are just improving the game from there,
Cool. Well, that's great to hear. And yeah, the way we build games today is a little different than back in the day where, a company would spend a year building something and then drop it off at the GameStop and sell it to people finished. Nowadays, the way you do it is you build a little bit, you release the initial product, and then you just keep investing in it. So that's sort of where we're headed with this. We had to get it out the door, and then it's just going to get better and better from there. We're actually increasing the amount of development time spent on it after launch. So I'm glad to hear you liked it on day one. It's going to just keep getting even better.
Now, as far as the app itself and gameplay, what have you done thus far? Those of us that play it know what you've done as far as stakes races and adding tracks here and there for different types of things. what do you plan on doing with, I guess, future plans outside of the stakes races?
So the big next mode that's coming that a lot of people have been asking for is a party mode. So originally people would play with their friends by everybody clicking the button at the exact same time and hoping to get in the same race. Am I getting feedback? Are you guys hearing me echo? Do you want me to turn my...
No,
you're good.
For me.
Okay, beautiful. Anyways, so party mode is going to allow you to play with your friends. You'll be able to add people to a party. Everybody gets in a room, and then you can join races from there. There'll be unrated races, but you'll be able to kind of keep track of who's won the most, who's lost the most. So just fun stuff, and there'll be a little chat in there, so you can chirp each other or brag about who's winning all the races.
Yeah,
so it should be a fun thing.
Yeah,
that'd be great for the Discord. Like I would be able to host a tournament in here, and I'd be able to keep track of the points and whatnot. The only thing is, if you could somehow add while you're at it, is if we could choose the track and we could somehow choose the horses. That would be, I mean, more accessibility would be great, more control over the tournament, and even in the party modes, because people would be like, oh, I could beat you with that horse any day, you know what I mean? But obviously that's a lot of coding, so you guys do what you can do.
Now, I do have a question about one of the stakes that have already run. It was the even bar stakes, where every horse in each race had the exact same attributes for top speed, stamina, and gate speed, which are the 3 attributes on the game. Are you planning on doing something like that again? Well, I did notice one of the more recent ones had pretty close to that, but where'd Ryan go?
Ryan's... Huh?
Yeah, Ryan disconnected.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, all right.
We're waiting on Ryan to get back.
Hey, what do you think of like a quick chat mode with actually no, like you would be able to type to other drivers a little bit here and there, pre-race. That'd be all right.
Like a little 30-second thing you can...
Yeah, you can either chat or they'll have preset chats like, oh, I'm going to take back or I'm going for it. That'd be kind of cool. But with their setup of the game and
oh, hey,
how it is, sure.
Go over to the general voice channel. He's in there.
Gotcha.
Okay. Can you hear me, Ryan? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Are we all in here?
Yep.
Can't hear Ryan. I think Ryan, you gotta... Oh, you should be enabled anyway.
Yeah.
Connectivity issues. The challenges of streaming live. Can we hear you now? There we go. Okay,
Sorry about that, guys. I have no idea what happened.
Me either, but it's all right. Anyways, so we have you've got you had the even bar stakes where every horse was evenly rated on their attributes, and I was wondering if you were going to do another stake race like that, because then it really boils down to how you drive your horse, rather than having, you know, the worst horse in a race where you have to trip out, or having the top speed horse. Are you guys planning on doing something like that again?
Yeah, I think we'll do those on a regular basis. I'm actually surprised we haven't done the second one yet, because we plan to do that from time to time. I think we'll do one maybe pretty soon too, where there's 2-tier full starting gate, and the second row gets a little bit of a better horse maybe. But yeah, the even bar is really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I did very well in that. I think I ended up making like 400 or 500 coins in that stake race. And
Nice.
Or horseshoes, I should say. Horseshoes are the game currency.
What size track was that one on, the first one?
I believe it was on a mile. It was at Sanford or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll try. We'll probably the next 3 times we do that, it'll be on the different size tracks. We'll go with a half mile, 5/8, and 7/8. Then I would imagine.
So I guess my big question is, as far as like Sean was saying, like a party mode type of thing. Are you guys going to implement some type of, in addition to a party mode, like a stakes only for friends, where they have to put up coins to, run against their friends, and then those coins are up for grabs?
Yeah, so I was talking to myself earlier when I got disconnected, telling you guys all about that. So the party mode has two phases to it. So the first phase is just to get in there and let people race against their friends, but it'll be like a quick play mode. So you just get in the party, you jump in a race, and it gets filled up with other players. Phase 2 is where you're going to be able to specify what you want, maybe what track, what horses, anything like that, and possibly an entry fee to create a prize. So you could set it anywhere from 1 horseshoe to 1,000 horseshoes if you want. And that way you could run tournaments. You could do whatever you wanted, basically.
That sounds pretty good. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, hopefully.
And we talked about this before we started. The hooking wheels, I know some guys are getting irritated with people hooking them on purpose, and the AI does it a little bit here and there as well.
Yeah.
What did you guys do to fix that?
Yeah, so the first fix is coming tomorrow morning for that. Should be out right around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. We tightened up the collision detection so that right now, if you look like you have room to go by a guy, you might still hit his wheel. We've tightened that right up so that if visually you have room, you should actually have room to get by. The computer drivers, we're still going to have to work on. It's really tricky to get them to drive perfectly. I find that once you kind of learn how to drive, it's easy to work around them. But I know they can be a bit irritating, so we'll continue to work on fixing them. But this fix tomorrow morning is basically to make it visually match what it should. You shouldn't be hooking wheels when you actually have room to go by. So we've got that fixed up, and we've got there'll be a couple little small things, like you'll be able to see quarter poles when you go by them, stuff like that.
Now, Sean, I know you had a couple of questions for him.
Yes. I'm going to go with the first one with the rating system.
Okay.
A lot of people are like me. Like sometimes I'm pretty discouraged. A fifth, you get 2 points. And then if you miss that fifth, say if I have Dank Meme, which is known to be one of the worst horses on the game, and you just miss fifth by a nose, you're down 17 points, anywhere from a 12, at least 15 to 18 points, right?
Yep.
But if you get that fifth with that horse, it's kind of an accomplishment, and you only get 2 points plus. I was hoping you guys would think about redoing the rating system just a little bit, just tweaking it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so the major thing there, it's based off of the original rating system that chess used, where you use the rating of your opponent to determine the number of points you win or lose. Obviously, chess is a heads-up game, whereas ours has 10 players, so it had to be adapted a little bit. But the random factors, you could build them in, or you could choose not to, and in the long run, the thought is that they will even out. So post position and horse are the 2 ones that we could include in the rating system, but you're going to end up getting good horses and bad horses, and it'll even out in the end anyways, and you'd end up with the same result, just with a more complicated system.
Right.
So I do agree with you. It sucks when you draw a bad horse, and especially when you push the top end of the ratings and you're rated higher than everyone you're racing against, it gets very, very tough to even maintain your rating.
Yeah, and that's what I ran into was, I got up, I brought this up a couple days ago. I went and got my rating all the way up to, it was roughly 1490. I was a top-rated driver on the game for about a day and a half. And within the next day and a half, my rating had dropped down to, this morning, it was roughly 1250. And it was just, after so many bad horses and, you try to give them all trips no matter what and try to get that fifth place check, but some of them just don't have the ability to do it in particular races. Yeah. So as far as that goes, that does get discouraging, but I agree when you get down to that level where you've been non-competitive for a while, you get down and you're facing easier competition as far as the rating system goes. So when you're, say for me, the 1250, when I got down there, I was facing guys in the low 1300s, and my rating, I won a race. I jumped up 26 points on one win because I was facing guys with that same classification, I guess you would call it. Is that kind of how it works out?
Yeah, and the idea is if you could graph your rating over time, you'd see it gravitate towards a center point where you get up higher, and then you'll dive, and then you'll get below your rating, and like you said, you'll naturally move back up. So it'll sort of hover within 100 points of that true rating where you belong. So when you get up to 1500 and there's nobody else up there, it's testing you. And it's like you said, you might pick up 2 points for fourth or fifth. And the game is sort of saying, are you that much better than these 1400s where you can beat them 9 out of 10 times?
Well,
or are you right there with them where you should be ranked right around these 1400s? I don't know. And so you'll sort of see that curve where you go up and down, but you can kind of find a player's true rating by where they hover.
Oh, all right.
That kind of makes sense. That makes it a lot more clear for those of us like me that we were kind of me personally. I was unsure of why I was getting such bad horses race after race after race. And then you just explained it, so now it makes sense. I figure my rating is probably supposed to be somewhere in the 1300s.
Well, the bad horses isn't. We're not doing anything there. That's just you just got to run a bad luck, but that'll happen. That'll happen anytime. But it's just the odds that you're giving up when you're at that height where, you're betting basically. You're at that point you're a 2 to 5 favorite, and you're giving up maybe 15 points compared to the 2 that you'd get for a fourth or a fifth. Now, a win is still going to probably get you 10 or 15 points, but wins are hard to come by in the 10-horse race.
Yeah. So you guys didn't go with a standard. You what I was saying with the points and all that. I was thinking that if you got a fifth on any track and with any horse, I was thinking you should get 5 points. Or is it you guys initiated kind of depends on the horse and track and your rating? That's for the say a second place, because the second place points differentiate.
Yeah. So it's only the ratings of your opponents compared to your rating and your finish position. That's it.
So that's okay. All right. And the horses and the your position, that's all luck of the draw.
Yeah, exactly. Pure random draw.
All right, because obviously you see everyone in the Catch Driving group on Facebook being like, how do I get the 10 hole 3 times in a row? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I've addressed this with Off and Pacing. It's a similar thing. I played poker for 6 months of my life. I moved to Florida to play poker. If you've played any online poker in your life on, some of the sites did cheat, but if you ever played on a fair one, you'd know that the way random numbers work is they clump, and the human brain recognizes patterns, and you'll get bad runs of cards in poker for 10,000 hands, 20,000 hands. So to get 5 or 10 bad draws in a row, isn't statistically relevant. It sucks, but true random numbers do that. We could do fake random numbers that look random, but they're not actually random to ensure that you get, one inside draw, one outside draw, one middle draw, but that wouldn't be true random because that's just not how they work.
Right.
Right.
No, I do like how it's actual random.
Yeah, basically.
And, people should respect that.
Yeah, I agree 100% there, Sean. Basically, what Ryan's saying is it is completely random where you draw. It's not cheating you out of draws. It's computer generated randomly. Everybody gets a random horse every single race, correct?
Yeah, and it sucks when you run bad. I remember going to Niagara Falls one day on a vacation, and I sat down to a roulette wheel, and I bet $25 on red. And I'll never forget this. 17 spins in a row, it came up black. And so you could sit here and calculate the odds of that happening, but that's an isolated incident, right? If you do that thousands and thousands of times, it's bound to happen where you get a string of bad luck, and your brain remembers it. I don't remember all the other times I played roulette and it was a more normal sequence. I just remember that one.
Yeah, I'm a craps guy, and because of my dad, thanks Dad. And so in the back of your mind, the 7 is gonna, if you're on a roll, the 7's gonna come up. It's the most probable number of the dice, but you kind of just hope that you get another 4 or 5 or 8 or 9. But just hope.
Well, and you'll see it there too, because if you've played a lot of craps in your life, you've probably had the dice for half an hour before, maybe even an hour, and you're supposed to roll a 7 one out of every 6 rolls. And you'll see guys go 40, 50 rolls without tossing a 7.
Yeah, it's nice. I was at I got home one day from racing somewhere, and I was stable at Tioga Downs. And it was only 12 o'clock, and I was wide awake because I was jacked on coffee. So I go to the casino. There's this blonde girl rolling the dice, and I'm just standing around I doubt that she's a skillful roller. Thankfully, the old guy that was standing next to me, he said, she's been rolling for 2 hours now. I go, what?
Oh.
He goes, yes, she's been rolling for 2 hours now, and she is very intoxicated. I go, all right, well, I'm going to get on this. And I'm there for 45 minutes betting, okay, many, I'm not going all in or anything. I wish I went all in because she had the dice for 2 more hours.
Wow.
But, of course, sometimes she took 2 minutes between each roll because she was talking about something. Because the drinks were getting to her.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect example.
It was crazy. It was like a 4-hour roll.
Wow.
But but if you want to move on, I got a quick one for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
With the bikes, I was thinking, hey, I could spare $10 to get a nice little green bike, but in the back of my mind, just like real harness racing, you don't know when they're going to come out with a brand new bike that you're going to want. So what's your guys' deals with the bikes? Are you going to leave them like that, or are you going to add a couple more bikes later on?
So we're going to add to the shop. We're hoping to add some new patterns for so that people can kind of get their own unique look for their avatar, as well as some new bikes. But the bikes, we're pretty firm right now that they're only going to be cosmetic. They're not going to have any advantage in the game because it would make it too much of a pay to win.
Yes.
You buy a bike and all of a sudden you're 2 lengths faster than everybody else. It just wouldn't play well in the gameplay. So they're going to be purely cosmetic going forward. But if anybody has any suggestions for a color they'd like to see or a certain style to the bike, shoot them our way, and we're always looking to add to that. So there could be new bikes at any point.
Right. I would say custom paint. The player gets us 20 picks of colors, and they pick their own color, and they would pay a certain amount for that color. You know what I mean? I think that'd be all right.
Yeah, I think we could do that too. That because we do that with the avatars where you choose your specific color that you want. So I don't see why we couldn't do it for the bike.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And a big one would be gifting horseshoes. Because I remember I was at Pocono Paddock with Carl Conti Jr., and he goes, "Oh, let me race with you." He goes, "Oh, wait, never mind. I'm out of horseshoes." And right then and there, I could have gave him 3 or 4 horseshoes so we could try to race against each other. I think that would be a big plus for the game if you'd be able to gift just like a minimum of 3 horseshoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the one thing we'd have to have in there, we'd have to restrict it to accounts that had played for a certain amount of time and kind of earned a certain status, because people would, particularly Android users who play on their computer, would end up with 1,000 accounts and transfer all the horseshoes to one account, and people are crafty like that.
Yeah.
But in your situation, I think that's a great thing, and where I think that'll really come into play is in party mode. So somebody runs out of energy in the party, well, either he's not in the next race, or somebody can toss him an energy or a few horseshoes to buy an energy pack.
Yeah. Well, in the party mode, if you're racing unrated and it doesn't cost anything to race,
mm-hmm.
You wouldn't really need a horseshoe. Like
it would just be still the energy. So everything will use one energy to race, and that's it. So
even in party mode?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's the plan.
All right. Well, like tournament style wise, I thought it would be all right for, if you're in a tournament and you're in the next 4 or 5 races, but you only have that limit of 3 getting stocked up on.
Tournaments will work similar to how we have the driving championships, where somebody pays an entry fee and then you're good to go for all 6 races. So a tournament will be similar. If the host of the tournament is putting up the prize, then there won't be any. There could be a 0 entry cost, or the host would be able to decide what the entry is, and they'd be able to. The players could just join at whatever the cost the host said, so it could be free.
Right. Okay. I got a big one for you here. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I gotta get this one out. Passing lane. Can we expect passing lanes in the near future? Because we've all been sitting pocket, and the right in front of you has been getting run down by the outside horse, and you just get sucked back because everyone's passing you. You can't get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'd love to experiment with different track configurations. So the first place we'd add a passing lane is at tracks that actually have them in real life. So you can expect to see that in the near future. We're going to work on party mode first, so that'll be, that update might be 2 weeks from now, and then passing lanes would be next on the list. But you probably can't expect to see them everywhere, because people feel differently about passing lanes. I feel like most people would like them in the game, but some people don't like them in real life, and we're going to kind of leave it up to the real tracks. So where they don't have one, we probably won't have one either.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's just they've never driven a race if they don't like passing lane.
Yeah, I mean the recent heated debate was I guess over Yonkers, right? Because they've gone back and forth, and I know I think it was Jordan Stratton who messaged me the other day about trying out in our game 4 on the gate and 4 trailers, because he thought it would be a good idea for Yonkers to go that way.
Yeah. But like, even if there's no passing lane at Yonkers, half the races, I'd say every night, that first horse edges out to the outside so that inside horse could get through. So even with them taking out the passing lane, they kind of make it harder for other drivers to get through and all that, for their horse to actually get alive. Because if you're third on the rail at Yonkers anymore and you don't get an out on the turn, you hope for 4th or 5th.
Yeah, stretch is too short. Yeah, I agree. So I mean, for sure we'll give it a shot. Just coming back from New Zealand, I thought it was amazing over there. It's totally different style of racing, because they race like a mile and a half, mile and 3/4 even. So they're kind of walking the first lap. But they have a rule. It's called the push-out rule, and the whole thing is if you're ahead of the horse beside you, you can push him right out of your way. So if you're on the rail and there's a horse coming up beside you and he's kind of just up your saddle pad, you can just move right over, and he has to move over and get out of your way. It's wild. So there's a chance we could experiment with that on some New Zealand or Australia tracks, but that would be totally foreign to North American drivers.
Yeah, it would, but it adds a new element, and I'm actually looking forward to that. I mean, I've always wanted to crash somebody without actually crashing them, and getting fined $200. So,
yeah.
I guess I've only got one more question. For future updates, other than the passing lane and the party mode, can we expect a large tournament for say invite only?
Yeah, so there's 2 more modes that we have planned. We may add more, but sort of in that events section, the idea was stake races and driving championships were the first 2, and number 3 and 4 are party mode and tournaments. So tournaments will be used. It should be very flexible. It could be public tournaments that get run, private tournaments, especially on-track ones. So we've got a lot of tracks looking to do on-track nights. So say you show up at Mohawk, you get a code in your program, and you can join up and race against only people at the track that night. So there will be a whole bunch of different formats of tournaments, and that'll be coming following party mode. So I'd expect maybe a little over a month from now.
Perfect.
That's pretty cool.
Sean, you got any other questions?
What about implementing a stamina bar for the non-drivers, kind of, per se? Like, you would have a stamina bar right by your hands a little bit, and
Yep.
so you know how much left in the tank you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this one a lot, and I think where I've landed is that it would take too much away from the reality of driving a horse. And one of the real things is you just don't know what you have in the tank. And I see people on a nightly basis when I watch, pull off the rail thinking that they're going to move forward, and they don't move anywhere. And it's just like a lot of times the driver just doesn't know what he has. So it's sort of, it would take away from needing to kind of watch the fractions and watch a lot of that. So if anything, I don't think I'd do a stamina bar. I think maybe what we'd do is a pace, sort of like a speedometer. So you could see if you were setting a hot pace or a slow pace and know where your stamina should be at based on that.
Yeah. No, I agree with the reality of the stamina bar. It was just, someone told me that, and I thought I'd ask you. Also, 2 people came up to me yesterday because we were talking about the game. They said they wanted odds on their horses. And I said, why? They go, well, I don't, like, just so other people know what kind of shot they have to win this race. I go, it was Rucker, Adam Rucker, and Andrew Fillion. Andrew Fillion wanted it because he goes, oh, I can't study that whole program, this and that. I go, man, just look at it. Like, the first thing I look at is the stamina. I look at everyone's stamina. I make sure I'm not behind a red bar of stamina in every race.
Yeah, I'm sort of similar. I look for anybody with the top 2 green. So I look for any double greens and figure out, okay, the 5 horse and 9 horse are the ones I got to watch out for, because they're the ones I'll be willing to follow all the way, or something like that. But I think it would be really cool. The only issue with trying to do that is we'd have to base the odds on the driver's rating as well, because the driver means more than the horse. Like, I mean, I see bad drivers lose with the best horse all the time, and I see bad horses winning with the good drivers. So we'd have to sort of combine the quality of the horse with what the driver is to come up with any kind of a morning line odds, and they'd be iffy at best, even if we did that. But we could take a shot at it.
But the thing with the odds is that Andrew was trying to get to is he wanted to know the order of the horses' skill, not the drivers, just the horses.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so that's almost like a horse rating because odds would.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, that's
understand
what
you
it sounds like.
Because any handicapper is factoring in the driver when they're deciding who to bet.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a pretty cool thing for sure. Would be some sort of way of rating the horses.
Yeah, maybe like just put I don't know, maybe a letter grading like A plus, A minus. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
something. We could probably solve it some other way too, like maybe showing their lifetime mark on that size track.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
You know, something to indicate where your horse is at. I don't know. Yeah, letter grade, grade or rating,
or an average.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the good questions I got.
All right. Well,
also the passing lane. What I was thinking, 1.5, like a half mile. The passing lane I think it would be 1.5, because a big problem right now in the community is blockers. Call them blockers or fuckwits or whatever you want to call them. And it's those people on the front that are running out of energy, and they will block you because you're in the pocket trying to get out left and right. And with that extra 1.5 with a passing lane, they'd have to choose which one they would want to block, and hopefully they strike out and they don't block anyone.
Yeah. So a couple things there. I figured out a way to get around most of those guys. So when I see somebody coming out across the track at me in the lane, I bait them. So I'll just keep going straight at them, and then last second I'll duck to the inside. And as soon as you get nose past them, they can't make contact with you anyways. So I haven't had a lot of issues. And as you get higher rated, you tend to see less of them. Like the race I just did at the beginning of this, this chat we're having was all 1300s, and guys with 1300 and above rating just don't do that. It would be impossible for them to keep their rating that high.
I agree.
But I agree with you. So if we did a passing lane, creating enough room, there's nothing to say the cool part about being game is there's no limitations on us. We could have a 3-wide passing lane. We can go a mile in a straight line. We can do an S track that turns both ways. We can do whatever the heck we want.
That'd be crazy.
And so anybody who's got cool ideas or something to try, send it over to us, and there's a chance we can make it happen.
All right.
That sounds good to me. If you guys have any further questions, please make sure to go to the official Facebook Catch Driver page. It's Catch Driver on Facebook, on Twitter as well. And you can download the game on Android and your iPhone, iOS devices.
Join the Discord.
Join the Discord.
Yeah, get in here. We were doing some races before. It's pretty fun.
We talk while we're driving. We do chat while we drive.
One thing I wanted to say is the main thing for this Discord is what I'm doing right now. I'm chatting on my laptop with you guys, and I could also be playing on my phone and talking to you and racing at the same time.
Yeah,
I think that would be, if we could get it. That's why I made those channels, Racing 1000, Racing 1100, so people could come in and try to race with certain people with that certain rating. I think it could really kick off that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't even need a laptop. You can do it right from your phone as well. So, I mean, I have headphones plugged into my phone right now, and I can hop in a race and be chatting with you guys at the same time.
Yep, exactly. Well, that's it for me, I think.
All right. Sean, thank you very much. Ryan, thank you. This is Sean Simons and Ryan Clements. We look forward to doing this again, future Q&A. But for now, check out the app Catch Driver on Android and iOS devices. And make sure you check out NAHU Picks, NAHUPicks.com. That's where I'm at. Ryan, did I miss anything?
No, that's it. You guys got some awesome shows there, and I know if you're betting Western Fair, you want to follow these guys because they know what they're doing.
Bang, bang. Till Sunday at the Red Mile. Deuces.